This is Paul from Model Builder International, and today we're going to go through, as you can see, Nuts and Bolts Volume 33. This is an earlier one, though up to Volume 37 was recently released. This is just one I have in my collection, and I thought I'd share it with you. So, this volume goes through basically light field howitzer 18, both the artillery piece and as it was mounted in the Vespa, the self-propelled artillery gun. So let's go through it and start off with, there's Tony Greenland. There's basically partly built artillery piece. There's more of this at the back of the book. And straight into it, there's no contents page in this, although on the article on the website I've added a very brief contents page so you can see how many pages cover what topics. So it starts off with basically saying the Vespa was first covered, was it 18 years ago, and this was published in 2014, so that makes about 1996 they did the first issue on the Vespa, which is a very early one, probably about a quarter of the size of this book. So then it goes on to the development of the artillery piece, construction, differences in the various types, because it was designed to be both horse-drawn and drawn by vehicles. So for those, the tyre on the wheels was different metal or rubber, and there's also different types of wheels as well. So it goes through the different variants. The 18M had a muzzle brake added. The 1839 was built for Holland, and some were actually delivered to Holland before the war started. Then there was the 1840, which was basically the gun mounted on the carriage of a Pak 40. Then there was other variants mounted on Russian carriages. And there's a production table there so you can see what was produced. There's just under 12,000 were produced during the war, and they were used by some other armies after the war. Technical data, operating the gun, camouflage and markings. With this one, if you do a pre-war one, then you can use 3-colour camouflage. And then obviously they came out in the dark yellow and field grey. Then it starts on the development of the Vespa itself in, was it 1942, I think, development really sort of started. A couple of years before they realised that they needed something like that. Then there's quite a few pages going through how it was developed, fighting compartment, slopes of the sides of the armour and the thickness of the armour, technical changes during the production run. There is some subtle changes, usually in the running gear, to tell you which production run a particular Vespa is from. Technical data, production numbers started being delivered in early 1943, right up to the end of the war. Talk of the ammunition carrying vehicle version of the Vespa. Then through the vehicles that are in a self-propelled artillery battery. There's 6 Vespas, 2 munition carriers, and a few other vehicles. Then it goes through deliveries of the Vespa. It also covers the artillery pieces as well, to all the various units that cover them. And there's a couple of good tables in here, just like this, that actually show you the various units and how many vehicles or artillery pieces they had in stock or on charge at various times during the war. And there's a lot of detail in this, going through all the different units that have them. Being artillery pieces, they were pretty widespread. Then there's a project which didn't get very far, the Hummel Vespa, which was basically, they had some Hummel 15cm self-propelled artillery chassis, but no guns to put in them, so they put the guns from the Vespa in it, hence the Hummel Vespa, and there's a few of those made. Camouflage markings, pretty straightforward, I think, since they were mostly delivered in dark yellow, and any other colours were added in the field. Survivors and private collections. Tony Greenland talking about models of the Vespa and the howitzer. List of all the available models and accessories. Acknowledgements. 61 items in the bibliography, so 61 sources were used in pulling together all the data in this book. Now we get on to the interesting stuff, basically the black and white photographs. I can't remember how many there was of each, but I put it in the article on the website, exactly how many black and white photos there are. The captions are really good. It explains what you're seeing in the photographs and includes some of the subtleties as well. So it starts off by talking about the artillery piece, and as you can see there's lots of photographs of this in all sorts of different situations: peacetime, wartime, ammunition, limbers, some diagrams explaining, some number diagrams explaining what's what. There's plenty of stuff there for dioramas, and you see all the different variations. There's steel wheels, metal wheels, and those with rubber tyres and metal tyres as well. And there's a strange one so that it didn't sink into the mud. And this goes all the way through to the end of the wall, and then we start off with, and this is the Vespa Prototype. You can tell that by the rounded hull around where the driver sits. In the production ones that was flat-sided. And then it goes through from basically beginning of production, early 1943, all the way through to the end of the war. Nice diagrams there labelling everything inside the vehicle. And there's a lot of detail in here. The captions, as per the text, everything's in English and German, and the English is very good. You wouldn't know it was originally written in German and then translated. And so there's lots of for a modeler, there is an awful lot of information here, an awful lot of ideas about things, how to make how things looked in real. Eventually we get towards the end of this. The captions are, as I said, are very good in this. They give some nice insights into what you're seeing. And they cover both summer, there's some winter camouflages, destroyed vehicles, you see, I think there's, off the top of my head, I think it's about 50 photographs of the artillery piece and just over 100 of the Vespas. Then we come on to the 1/35th scale drawings. As you can see, start off with wooden spoke wheels, steel tyres, light metal cast wheels, light metal cast wheels with steel rims, and then various angle views, so you can see exactly what is supposed to be where, including the limbers. A lot of details on the limber as well. Then we start on the Vespa itself, starting with the prototype, the experimental vehicle, and then, as I said, the subtleties in the running gear between the different production runs. Dampers for the 5 leaf springs, it's with a modification at the back, 2 vertical spring bump stops on the first 2 road wheels, vertical springs on the first 2 and the last 2, that's another one, and then the Vespa interior, and then angle views of it. Then we come on to the colour profiles, and each of these has, so see here, S69. If I go to page 69, then I'll see that photograph, and this is a colour profile of that. So you see all the colour profiles and angle views as well, to give you some more details where needed. Then we get on to looking at preserved vehicles in museums and private collections. Just a quick one. The ammunition, depending what it was, has slightly different colours in different places. So then we see the artillery pieces in museums, and some of these are stored outside, so like on this one you can see the rain marks coming down the wheel, and you see chip marks on these. So there's lots of nice detail on here. And these also have, some of these are labelled well, so identifying exactly what each of the items is. And somebody's obviously photographed these with a mind to capturing the details. So there's a lot of good stuff here. And then we come on to Vespa that are in museums. And there's a lot of nice detail on there, especially the running gear. So you can see the differences between the production ones and the running gear. Tracks and some views from underneath. And then it gets into some pretty close-up photographs, so you can see what's what. The muzzle brake, as it says here, the vehicle in this museum has the wrong muzzle brake on it. You can see again there's part of a Vespa with it's identified. The engine, gearbox, interior views, dashboard. And there's lots of good detail in here. Radios, more ammunition. And then the last bit is Tony Greenland's. There's the howitzer piece that we saw inside the front cover. Here it is finished. And then this is basically a complete article on building a 1/35th Vespa. Starting off with photo etch and it's partly built, and then putting it all together. And then putting some paint on it. And then we get the finished product. So, all in all, if you're building a Lightfield Howitzer 18 or a Vespa, or indeed a Hummel Vespa, there's loads of information in here, and pretty much it's the only reference book you're going to need. And you can get your copy from Nuts and Bolts website.